Now let's look at the first pick of Team Liddell, Bobby Southworth. He was born on December 16, 1969, and he's now a retired MMA fighter. He has fought in Pride FC and was the first Strikeforce light heavyweight champion. Southworth was adopted when he was 6 weeks old. His initial interest towards MMA sparked after seeing Royce Gracie at UFC 1 and UFC 2. While Bobby was looking for a sport to stay fit, his friend invited him to a jiu-jitsu class in a nearby gym. Instantly hooked to the discipline, Bobby soon joined Cesar Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Academy before moving on to Gracie Systems, which was formed after Caesar's cousin Rolf Gracie moved stateside. Subsequently, Rolf opened his own academy in Mountain View, California, where Bobby continued teaching and training jiu-jitsu. Bobby grew interest to take on a no-holds-barred bout, which was disapproved by Rolf, leading to Bobby's departure from the academy. After that, Bobby joined American Kickboxing Academy, which at the time had no proper jiu-jitsu program, so he took the responsibility of teaching the discipline. Southworth's first major exposure in the mixed martial arts world was when he faced Vitor Belfort on a 2 weeks short notice at Pride 13 on March 25, 2001. Southworth lost by rear naked choke in the first round. In late 2003, Southworth had a falling out over money with Javier Mendez and briefly retired from the sport. Still having the spark to compete, Southworth mensed fences with Mendez and rejoined the academy about a year later. Southworth is the first #1 pick in the TUF history and #1 for Team Liddell. At 34, he was the second oldest fighter in the cast. Bobby felt like it was almost like being in jail, although the food was better and they were getting to train. There was little freedom, which none of the little things you want to do, like reading a book or listening to music, those are big deals. The verbal tormenting by him and Josh Koscheck of a very drunk Chris Leben, for example, calling him a fatherless bastard, was one of the most talked about scenes of the original series of The Ultimate Fighter, leading to Leben losing his temper and smashing his hand through a door, injuring himself badly. Bobby said in an interview after, "Chris had some issues, and I set them off. But what they don't show you of that evening is Chris played a lot of pranks on other people. We all pranked one another and back and forth. He was sleeping on an incline in the yard, and the plan was I'm going to put the hose up there, and we were going to turn the water on, and the water is going to trickle down, and it's going to wake him up. I turned on the water, Koscheck put the thing in his face, and that was really set him off." Bobby Southworth defeated Ludun Sinkhate by KO strikes in the second round, and then got defeated by Stephan Bonner by split decision after 2 rounds. Bobby returned to the house as a possible replacement for Forrest Griffin should he have not been medically cleared to fight in the semifinals, but Forrest cut healed safely and Southworth did not fight again. A short side note, if you buy into the narrative that Bonner and Griffin essentially saved the UFC, it could have been Southworth and Griffin in the finale when Bonner and Southworth had a fun and razor-close scrap that ended in split decision. So for his UFC career, Southworth faced Sam Hoger and he lost a 3-round decision fight. And what's weird about the whole thing that Bobby didn't get a contract as so many guys that were on the show, but he found success without the UFC. On June 9th, 2006, with more than 1 year of inactivity in a cage, he had his first fight in Strikeforce against James "The Sandman" Irvine. The bout was declared a non-contest after a mere 17 seconds when a freak accident happened. Southworth and Irvine clinched pressed against the cage, pushing open the door and causing Irvine to fall out the cage, hurting his knee. In his next fight on December 8, 2006, Southworth was given the opportunity to fight for the Strikeforce vacant light heavyweight championship against Vernon Tiger White. Southworth won a clear decision victory. On June 27th, a rematch against Anthony Ruiz took place because Bobby lost a non-title fight. And now in the rematch, a rather slow-paced fight, Southworth defeated Ruiz in a 5-round unanimous decision fight. He became the only man to successfully defend the Strikeforce Light Heavyweight Championship. In his next title defense at Strikeforce Destruction on November 21st, 2008, Southworth lost the Light Heavyweight Championship against former UFC Light Heavyweight fighter Renato Babalu Sobral by TKO, which ended when he suffered a cut in the first round at the 5-minute mark. Southworth was winning the round, having scored a takedown and controlling the clinch until Babalu opened a horrendous gash above Bobby's left eye with 10 seconds to go. Big John McCarthy stopped the action to let doctors inspect the cut, and Southworth finished the round by dropping Babalu with a punch just before the bell. However, when the doctor got a better look at the wound between rounds, the fight was stopped due to the size and depth of the cut. Southworth announced he would like a rematch, and Sobral verbally agreed. However, a rematch was never organized, and following Sobral's 2013 retirement, it's unlikely a rematch would ever occur. In the last bout of his career, Southworth faced Aaron Boyce at Extreme MMA 2 on July 31st, 2010. He won the fight via first-round knockout. Southworth also tried out for the 11th season of The Ultimate Fighter that premiered on March 31st, 2010. However, despite the fact that they wanted both middleweights and light heavyweights on the show, the UFC decided that the season would focus exclusively on middleweights. As a longtime member of Team AKA, which is American Kickboxing Academy in San Jose, Bobby was not only a coach and trainer, but he also trained there his jiu-jitsu. Bobby is a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt and has started teaching at the new AKA gym in Sunnyvale, California when it opened in 2008. In 2015, Southworth began coaching at the UFC gym Hollow Brook in San Antonio, Texas until it closed down due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Now let's look at the championships and awards he accumulated in his career. In mixed martial arts, in Strikeforce, he was a light heavyweight champion. He was one time the champion and the first time, and he was the only fighter that successfully defended the light heavyweight championship. He accumulated an MMA record of 10-6, which led by 4-3 by KO, 4-2 by subs, 2-1 by decision, and 1 no contest. Before TUF, he had a record of 6-3, and after TUF, he had a record of 4-3-1. So at the next video, we look at Nathan Quarry, which is the first pick of Team Couture.